Jayadev Galla ji.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I rise to support the bill moved by the Honourable External Affairs Minister. The objective of the bill is limited. It seeks to ban funding for weapons of mass destruction and gives power to the Union government for appropriate action against the culprits under the provisions of the WMD Act. Sir, I have a few quick points I would like to make. Here I would like to appreciate first the foresight of our former Prime Ministers, Srimati Indira Gandhi and Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, in making India a nuclear state, sir. The reason I say this is because as we see what's happening in Ukraine, which remained a non-nuclear country since it believed the assurances given to it by the Western NATO and gave up its nuclear arms. But looking at the current situation, the Ukraine question arises. The question arises, would Russia have attacked Ukraine if Ukraine had possessed nuclear weapons? And conversely, could Russia have attacked Ukraine if Russia didn't have nuclear weapons with the confidence that it wouldn't be countered by the rest of the world? Sir, the traditional arguments for nuclear non-proliferation have been somewhat disproven with this current case. Along with the New World Order, we also need a new paradigm or a new nuclear doctrine, not only to avoid mutually assured destruction, which is what between nuclear powers, which was the case in earlier days, but also how do we assure that non-nuclear countries of their sovereign rights? How do we prevent nuclear countries from misusing their nuclear threat to bully smaller non-nuclear countries? This needs to be addressed by the world at large, and India has a leading role to play in defining this, sir, going forward. Sir, what is the future of non-proliferation really needs to be carefully examined, understood, and a new paradigm needs to emerge, sir. Sir, one clarification I wish to seek is that the proposed insertion of Clause 12A appears to be a little vague. Here you are saying no person shall finance any activity prohibited under this Act or under the UN Security Council Act 1947 or any other relevant act for the time being in force. I think this appears to be a bit vague, as we have not mentioned which are the relevant acts under which you propose to take action. So I suggest for consideration of the Honourable Minister to attach a schedule to this bill and list out the acts, agreements and conventions, etc., which come under the purview of this legislation. The next point I wish to make is relating to India's full support and effective implementation of the Chemical Weapons Convention and strengthening the Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons and the mandate given to it. And at the same time, we are also voicing our support for institutional strengthening of the Biological Weapons Convention and bat for legally binding protocol. But if you look again at the ongoing Russia-Ukraine armed conflict, we have seen umpteen times statements coming from Russia about the use of chemical weapons and Ukraine claiming that Russia may use biological or chemical weapons and at any time. So does this not defeat the very convention and objective which India and other countries are pursuing? If signatories to the convention are blatantly breaking it, then what is the use of this convention, sir? Secondly, we are going to have the 9th review conference of the Biological Weapons Convention this year. So I wish to know what would be the approach of India in this conference in light of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The third point I wish to make is about the effective response to a chemical or biological attack, particularly on our citizens. I wish to know what sort of mechanism we have in place, be it relating to detection or providing antidotes or to decontaminate and guide people not to consume contaminated food and water. I'm asking this as we have seen the vulnerability of sarin nerve gas bioterrorism attack in Tokyo, where in spite of having much better mechanism than India, showed that the vulnerability of the civilian population and killed 200 people in that attack, sir. So I wish to know the kind of mechanism and national strategy that is in place in the event of a chemical or biological attack. Sir, the next point which I want to make, I think several people also asked about the coronavirus in light of, questioning whether it's actually a biological attack or not. I don't think we've been able to come to any final conclusion on this because China is neither sharing any information nor allowing any inspections. And there are contradicting stories which the Honourable Minister is aware of more than what I can understand. If it is a biological weapon, The entire world could do nothing or even come to a conclusion that it is a biological weapon, leave alone taking action or imposing sanctions on China. In such a scenario, I doubt that enactments like these would be of any help. So I wish to have a response from the Honourable Minister on this as well. Sir, I feel today, more than chemical and biological weapons, the world is threatened and facing risks posed by cyber weapons, hypersonic missiles, drone swarms, pandemic outbreaks, be it man-made or natural. Now, drones are innovative and a novel delivery of weapons of mass destruction, be it chemical or biological, and are operated through artificial intelligence. So we need to evolve strategies and create firewalls against such attacks in India. I'm sure the House would like to know what efforts are being made by the ministry in this regard, since there is nothing in this bill. Sir, finally, I am fully with the Honourable Minister and the government to ruthlessly crush financing any activity which, even in the remote possible way, is trying to help any activity to prepare or produce or help in making weapons of mass destruction and their delivery. But I just wish to seek one clarification. In the pursuit of India's national interest, and for more benevolent use of such technologies, scientific research must have been taking place on such technologies. And the Honourable Minister is aware that sort of R&D is critical for this country. So I ask the Honourable Minister to simply clarify what the government has done to ensure that such critical research on such technologies is not impeded, even unintentionally, due to this legislation. So, sir, these are some of the issues I thought that I should flag and to share with the Honourable Minister. I request him to look into them and see how best we can strengthen this legislation from all corners to protect not only this country, but also its exclusive economic zone and beyond. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Honourable Member Shri Manish Tiwari ji.